Welcome to NCRT Made Easy. In the last video, we started this chapter variations in psychological attributes, and we finished some subtopics like introduction, individual differences, and assessment. Now we'll be going to intelligence. I will try to cover intelligence and theories of intelligence in this video. Alright, so let's begin. We will now be knowing what is intelligence according to Oxford Dictionary, Arthur Binet, and different psychologists. Starting with, what exactly is intelligence? Intelligence is a key construct employed to know how individuals differ from one another. It also provides an understanding of how people adapt their behavior according to environment they live in. So this is not a definition, but to us, for understanding what is intelligence, intelligence is a key construct that helps us distinguish between two people. It also says about how people adapt to behaviors and situations according to their ability to cope. Okay, now we'll be learning the psychological notion of intelligence, which is in Oxford, according to Oxford Dictionary, Alfred Binet, and etc. Firstly, Oxford Dictionary. Oxford Dictionary explains intelligence as the power of perceiving, learning, understanding, and knowing. So, Oxford Dictionary explains intelligence as the power of perceiving, learning, understanding, and knowing. Then we have Alfred Binet. What he used to say about intelligence is the ability to judge well, understand well, and reason well. Reason well. Third, we have Wechsler. It's another psychologist, Wechsler. He defines intelligence in terms of functionality. That is how they adapt to environment and behavior-wise. So he said, intelligence is the global and aggregate capacity of an individual to think rationally, act purposefully, and to deal effectively, with his or her environment. Okay, so that's the third thing we'll learn. These three people are the most important. Oxford Dictionary, Alfred Binet, and Wechsler. These three are the most important definitions. Other than that, we have other psychologists, which is not really considered as one psychologist, it's just other psychologists like Gardner and Sternberg. These are famous psychologists. You'll come to know about them more in the later classes. We'll come to later chapters as well. They suggested the intelligent individual not only adapts to the environment, but also actively modifies or shapes. So, these are of other psychologists like Gardner and Sternberg. This might come as a very simple question: define intelligence. But the answer to this is not as simple as intelligence is the ability to adapt and stuff like that. Instead, this is the answer you must write clearly and concisely in your answer paper, and definitely this will give you a full mark. This is the point that you write. Theories of intelligence. There are two types of approaches. First, there is psychometric, or you can call it structural approach. So there is psychometric or structural approach, okay? Or there is information processing approach. So there are two types of approaches here. Information processing approach. So there are two types of approaches here, under which there will be types of theories. I need to distinguish them. There's a very important question that comes: differentiate between psychometric or structural approach and information processing approach, and list the ones coming under them. Or you might say differentiate between this both, and then just define or explain the ones under information processing approach. Okay. This one, intelligence is an aggregate of abilities. Otherwise, this one sees it as processes people use in intellectual processes people use in intellectual reasoning and problem solving. Information processing approach looks at how intelligent a person acts rather than focusing on the structure of intelligence or its underlying dimensions. It focuses on studying cognitive functions that underlie intelligent behavior. Now we'll be looking at the proper differentiation between these two so that you can write an exam. This is very important because this question will definitely come for your exams, and if you are able to do it, you can get a full 2 to 3 marks if it comes. It mostly will count for 2 or 3 marks. Okay. Psychometric approach considers intelligence as an aggregate capacity of abilities, while, while information processing identifies how intelligence is used in reasoning and problem solving. Problem solving. Then, psychometric talks about structure of intelligence. Structure of intelligence. That is, what intelligence is made of. Dimensions. Do you remember in the previous page we understood that this talks about the underlying dimensions like numerical ability, verbal ability, spatial ability, whereas this one goes to how intelligence is used for reasoning and problem solving. That is what intelligence is made of. And this one focuses on how an intelligent person acts. An intelligent person acts. Now we'll be learning the most important part of it, which is what are the theories under this. This will give you a whole mark if you mention all these points. There are five theories under this, and there are 3 theories under this. This one is unifactor theory. Remembering all of these theory is very important. Three-factor theory, then we have two-factor theory. You also need to remember the psychologists under behind these hierarchical model of hierarchical model of intelligence, which has two levels, and then we have structure of intellect model. These two are the most asked. Specifically, this one, intellect model, which is SI model. Then we have, oh right, these are very important. All three of them might come as separate questions or they might come as one question. Specifically, the third one that I'm going to mention is definitely going to come as a question. It's a very frequently asked question. Theory of multiple intelligence. ASMI, multiple intelligence. Then we have triarchic theory. Triarchic theory, which is three. PASS model, the most important of all. PASS model, definitely very important. This is an acronym of Australia. Or if you want to know, I can let you know right now. It is planning for P, then there is attention and arousal for A, S is successive, and S is simultaneous. So it's about the processing. Alright. Starting off with the first one. Is it visible? Unifactor theory. Most simplest of all. It was given by Alfred Binet. Definitely very important to remember who are the psychologists behind these. Alfred Binet. According to him, intelligence is an aggregate. Do you remember psychometric? What is psychometric? It is an aggregate of abilities. So he thinks it's an aggregate of only one kind of intelligence that can help you solve any and every problem. How do we write this? According to Alfred Binet, he conceptualized intelligence as consisting of one similar set of ability abilities which can be used to solve any or every problem in an individual's environment. In an individual's environment, that is unifactor theory. This was very disputed among psychologists. So there came the next one. Second one is two-factor theory. Always remember, it's very important to remember which one of these, which five comes under psychometric approach. It may be also coming as a question, what are the psychometric approaches? And if in the differentiation you make a mistake, that can cost you a mark. Okay, so let's not leave any chances. Then this one is given by Charles Spearman. How will you remember these? There are so many psychologists all over the subject psychology. But you can remember these through daily revision, frequent practices, and of course examinations will help you. Two-factor theory, Charles Spearman. He proposed the two-factor theory, which he found using the factor analysis. You'll learn about this later on, but as of now, you will know he used factor analysis. That's a method to remove all other factors that may be the reason to how intelligence is dimensionally, but he decreased them to just two factors that cause intelligence. So, factor analysis is decreasing of the numerous factors that cause intelligence. There are two factors, which is G factor and S factor. G factor is general factor, S factor is specific factor. So there is general factor, which is also called G factor, while there is S factor, which is specific factor. Specific factor, S factor. Okay. So what is G factor? It includes mental operations, all the mental operations, which means mental processes, thinkings, mental operations, which are primary and common to all performances, or are primary and common to all performances. All performances, and then here for specific one, it is there are specific abilities. These are like for example, they may be a singer. For general factors, let's say, I'll write the example here. Let's say general factor is, example is a singer. There is a singer here. There is architect here. There is scientist. All of these are excellent. Excellent singer, excellent architect, excellent scientist. But they may be high on general factor. If they have specific abilities, then it allows them to excel in the respective domains, right? Like, let's say there's a singer, there's an architect, there's a scientist. If he has specific factor, general factor is all singers will have the ability to sing. All architects will have the ability to build something. All scientists will have the ability to discover something. But a specific factor is this is an excellent singer, this is an excellent architect, and this is an excellent scientist. Not just a scientist, an excellent scientist. Just like that. So S factor is when you have specific abilities. When you are high on specific abilities. Is theory of primary mental abilities. This one was given by Louis Thurstone after Charles Spearman, where he said that there are 7 primary abilities. Like this primary mental abilities kind of question will be coming in this chapter and the next chapter after this. You will find there will be many theories, like around 3 I think. You will find primary mental abilities. There will be like 5 somewhere, there will be 6 somewhere, there will be 8 somewhere. But you need to know the interlinking between them and how they are different, and that all will be clear by practice. Do not worry. You will get used to it as you go. And if not, you should know that the basic things like verbal, numerical, spatial will be there for all. Then, according to the content under which these come, for example, this is under intelligence, there is verbal, numerical, spatial, perceptual, word fluency, memory, and inductive reasoning. There are 7 here. You will immediately, when you study those chapters, be able to list the next ones. Now, let's go to the 7 primary mental abilities by Louis Thurstone. It's Thurstone. Thurstone. Okay. Now we have, alright. Starting with the first one, which is verbal comprehension. Verbal comprehension, which is grasping the meaning of words. Grasping the meaning of words, concepts, and ideas. So how fast you can grasp words and concepts, ideas, concepts. You need to know these. because there might be a question of theory, primary mental abilities, explain it. So if you just write these seven, you will get marks. But we want to guarantee marks, so you need these. And this is simple. Verbal means what? Grasp words, ideas, and concepts. Next, we have numerical abilities. Numerical abilities, which is the speed and accuracy in numerical and sorry, numerical skills. Otherwise, I was going to write numerical and computation skills. Just we can write normally as numerical skills. Speed and accuracy in numerical skills. Next, we have spatial relations. Spatial relations. You must have heard of the word spatial. It is about visualizing things. So here also it comes visualizing patterns and forms. Understanding patterns. Like we were given these questions when we were younger. Like there is 3, 5, 7, 9. What is the pattern here? Odd numbers. Just like that. They are good at visualizing patterns and forms. Next we go perceptual speed, which is speed in perceiving details. Then we have word fluency, which is being fluent in words, of course, using words fluently and flexibly. Using words fluently and flexibly. Next we have memory. These seven are very important to revise. Besides that, of course, you need to revise all the other theories. Very importantly, memory, which is accuracy in recalling information. Recalling information. It's all shown here. Okay. Then we have inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning. And nobody's all of this is from the NCERT textbook. Every line by line is from NCERT textbook. Deriving general rules. Deriving general rules from presented facts. So understanding what are the rules from presented facts. Presented facts. So here, seven, let's revise them again. There is inductive reasoning, memory, word fluency, perceptual speed, spatial relations, numerical ability, and verbal comprehension. Fourth level of fourth psychometric approach, fourth theory. So we have hierarchical model of intelligence. Intelligence. Okay. This one is given by Arthur Jensen. Under this, there is two levels called level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is associative learning. Associative learning. Cognitive competence. Right. So associative learning. Let's write it down over here. Output is more or less similar to input. Example, rote learning. And memory, like that. It involves higher order skills as they transform the input to produce an effective output. Next, last but not the least, we have structure of intellect model, which is the most important. Structure of intellect model. This one was given by J.P. Guilford. J.P. Guilford. Guilford. J.P. Guilford. He proposed three dimensions under this. One is operations, operations, contents, and products. This is a very fun model because you'll find it. Products. Alright. So what are operations? They are what the respondent does. Like cognition, memory recording, memory retention, then divergent production, convergent production, evaluation. Like what we do. We record the memories. We remember the memories. We think divergently. We think convergently. Divergent means thinking outside the box. Convergent means thinking inside. Next, we have contents, which refers to the nature of material or information which we perform intellectual operations on. These include if we are using visual information, auditory information, symbolic informations, semantic informations, and then behavior information. Products include the form in which information is processed by the respondent, like classes, relations, systems, transformation, implications. It's like how we process it as units, as a whole system, as relations, different classes, like that. And the most fun part about this, we have to consider it as a square, or you can say a cube. Is a category 6 is to 5 is to 6 is the categories. So there are 6 categories here, 5 categories here, 6 categories here, which you do not need to learn. The categories you don't need to learn, but you need to know the total cells in this is 180. So there are 180 cells in this cube. I'm drawing a rough one here. This is not how a cube looks. I'm sorry. I'll draw a smaller one here. Just symbolically, you need to know it has 656 as its dimensions, categories, 656 categories, and has 180 cells in total. Each cell is expected to have at least one factor. There is 180 cells in this, okay? And each cell is supposed to have at least one factor. Each cell has one factor or ability. As we've learned before, if you remember, factor analysis was used. Factor analysis means analyzing abilities and decreasing them to one form. So each cell is expected to have at least one factor ability. Some cells may have more than one factor. So we need to mention at least one. Okay? So I mentioned before contents and products. Though these are not so important to remember because you might not remember all of them. Though this is very easy to remember. But if you want to guarantee your mark, which is very important as psychology project, you need to write these. As I said, step 6, if you remember, cognition, memory recording, memory retention, count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So there's 6 here. If you remember them, you can write them down. If not, At least write some of these and write etc. And mention here that this one has 6 categories, 5 categories, 6 categories, and total of 180 cells. But the most important thing to mention is what I said. What is operations, what is contents, what is products. So write it down with a black pen for you to remember. Is what the what the respondent does. In your own notes, you can write operations, then mention this point, not with exclamation, of course. Mention this point and then write it down as points if you can. And this one, mention this point that I'm writing and then points for these. That will help you remember them and revise them better. Next, what is contents? The nature of material. Nature of material on which intellectual operations are performed. On which intellectual operations are performed. Okay, performed. Next, we have products, which is the form in which information is processed by respondent. Form in which information is processed by respondent or just processed. Let me strike off this properly so you do not mix this with this. Okay, really messy, I know. Okay, but yeah, all of these notes in the form of Instagram photos, probably the Instagram I'll be making soon. I'll be uploading all of these pages. All of them that I've written in the class will be posted over there for your reference. So you can either write with me right now and then revise at that time. Next, moving on to the next video where you will be finding the 3 theories of information processing. We're done with the 5 theories of psychometric approach. You need to remember, you need to revise these. So there are 3 theories of information processing that we'll be going to the next video in.
See you there.